Hey guys, Stucky here. You ever wanted to try the best version of the Action Network app? Well, now is the perfect opportunity to do so because we have a special offer to celebrate the month of March and the NCAA tournament. You can get pro access for just $9.99 for the first month. That will give you access to things like Sean Kerner's player prop projections, which are invaluable, real-time money percentages, and our model's biggest edges, and much more. All you have to do is head over to actionnetwork.com/madness. That's actionnetwork.com/madness and get there before the deal expires. Cheers, Vic. Anyway, a lot to get to today. Let's go to the SoCon. We'll start in the SoCon, which will all take place in Asheville, North Carolina. All 10 teams make the tournament. The first top six seeds get a bye. That means Mercer and the Citadel will face off in the 8-9 game. Winner gets the top overall seed, Samford, who is the favorite here. And then East Tennessee State, the 7 seed, will take on the 10 VMI, with the winner getting UNC Greensboro, the 2 seed in the bottom half of the bracket. Western Carolina, the 4-5 game against Furman, and then Chattanooga Wofford in the 3-6. When I look at this this league, Samford is clearly the best team. They're the most. I don't think anyone would really argue that they have the most talent. That there's a reason that they're plus 150 to win the tournament. I don't see a ton of value there, but this is a fast-paced rim and 3 offense, buckyball. They're 11th in tempo, top 5 3-point percentage, top 10 effective field goal percentage. They have turnover issues at times, but their offense is really good. They play a trapping pressure zone-based defense. The way that you have to beat them is because of the way that they play. I mean, you're gonna have to score with them because they're gonna score. But because of the way that their defense is set up and how they trap and pressure, you have to move the ball well and you have to shoot and you can't turn it over. And then you got to take advantage on the offensive glass because they're vulnerable because of the way that they play. They're aggressive, zoning, trapping defense. They can give up offensive rebounds. So, when I look at who could potentially do that, it's Furman. Furman's a team with great ball movement. They beat them and then lost by 2. So they beat Samford and then lost by 2 in the other game. Because why? Because Furman, great ball movement under Bob Ritchie. They don't turn it over. They take a ton of threes. They hit their free throws. So, I think that's a potential team that could give Samford a scare just from a matchup perspective. And then the other thing that jumps out to me is, because I say, all right, maybe I think Samford's a little bit overvalued, even though I think they're the best team. Even Mercer, the 8 team, Mercer beat them and played them close, who they'd likely play in their first game. So I say, okay, who do I want to look at in the bottom half of the bracket? The problem for me is all of these high variance teams are in the bottom half. So UNCG, who I really like as a team, but they shoot a ton of threes, they allow a ton of threes, and they play slow. They don't give up anything at the rim with an aggressive D. And they just have a great athletic perimeter of shooters, the Langley brothers, Atwell, Brown, Jones. But Chattanooga's the same way. Like they have a really good backcourt. Trey Bonham, his status is important. But when he's healthy and him and Huff, really good backup. A really good backcourt, I should say. But they're number 2 in the country in 3-point attempt rate. Outside the top 300 3-point attempt rate allowed, and they play slower. How about Wofford? Same thing. Slow 3-point shooters, give up a ton of threes. So you have all these like high variance teams that are in the bottom half of the bracket. So, Greg, I'll throw it to you. Help me try to crack the code in the SoCon and what you're seeing in both the top and bottom half.
Yeah, I think you laid it out nicely because in the side of the draw that is Greensboro and Chattanooga, I don't feel super confident in either right now. I'm certainly skeptical of Chattanooga. I guess I'll start there. I think since February 1st, they have the 313th ranked defense in the country, 9-game sample size. Like, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. I think Greensboro's playing okay. They're 4-1-4 of their last 6. Mikhail Brown-Jones was in foul trouble, both of the 2 that they didn't win down the stretch. So as far as like a matchup goes, if we do get the 2 versus the 3, I think I like Greensboro to emerge. But my issue is when thinking versus Samford, because you talked about Samford's the best team in this league. Who's going to beat Samford? All the teams that I would like more if they were on Greensboro's side of the draw are in Samford's draw, which I don't know if that makes me more or less confident in Samford. I agree with you. The value's not there at plus 150, but they are head and shoulders above this league to me. They're just such a stylistic contrast with everybody outside of Furman. And I guess VMI, who also plays very fast, but they have 4 wins on the season. I mean, everybody else in this league wants to slow it down. You talked about how good their offense is. It's unique defensively. Like, it's just such a hard prep to face Samford, and they've earned their record that's been that good. The metrics love them. I agree with you as far as a deep sleeper goes. It would be Mercer for me. They're playing great right now, 4-1 outright down the stretch. It's not like their schedule opened up. They beat the top 2 seeds in that span, wins over Greensboro and Samford. David Thomas is the biggest reason why I think they've taken a leap. The freshman has sort of become a star, double figures in 7 straight games. He wasn't even playing that much at the beginning of the season. I do think, they beat him recently. If Mercer is able to take care of business against the Citadel in the first game, that's not the easiest 1-8 I've ever seen for Samford. And at 60-1, I mean, that's where the value would be on the board, but I'm not going to sit here and say I expect Samford to lose. This is their tournament to win.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that Mercer beat them and then gave them, kind of a game in the other one is Mercer's really small, but they're good on the O glass and they don't turn it over. And they have a good perimeter D. So those are, 3 important things that you need to do against Samford. Western Carolina, we just have to mention Vontarius Woolbright. Wouldn't be a SoCon preview without him. What's he at? Up to 5 triple doubles this year, I believe. He's averaging 21. He's at top 10 in the country in points and rebounds. He's averaging like 21 and a half and 12 he's top 30 in assists too. This guy is an absolute stat stuffer. And I don't know who's the other problem for me is I don't know Western Carolina Furman, that 4-5. I don't have a strong conviction in who's going to win that game. Western Carolina will actually take Samford out of transition. They do a really good job in doing that. But Samford's offense is also really good in the half court. I don't know, and we'll see if they get State and McRae back. But they've recently got Marshall back. Achora came back late in the year, so they dealt with a couple injuries. If you see some questionable results over the last few games, they had everything locked up. They had a couple injuries, especially against Wofford. I think they were missing 3 starters, but especially if they get State and McRae back. I mean, they have like 4 or 5 guys that shoot 40+% from 3. So, Woolbright is just an ISO machine, and then he will draw attention, and then he can kick it out to shooters all over. So he's capable of just going completely off. A couple other teams that I'll just mention: Citadel is 130-1. Their offense is okay when they're not turning it over, but they're awful. They're not winning this tournament. And VMI sucks at everything except being fast. They're 500-1. So they do everything really bad, and then they do it fast, which is what you don't want to do. If you're really bad, you want to go slow. VMI has 1D1 win this year, and it was against Citadel. So I would not consider those teams. ETSU 20-1. No thanks. You'd have to, they get offensive rebounds and they force turnovers. That they do nothing else well. That's all they do. They're inefficient everywhere else. They shoot way too many threes for a team that can't shoot. And I think Chattanooga Wofford, interesting game, might just come down to like Chattanooga's a little better from the line, but I don't even have a strong conviction on who would win that game too, which makes this tricky for me. Calabrese, what are you seeing in the SoCon?
Well, first shout out to Woolbright. He won me my very first college fantasy basketball championship this year. Couldn't have done it without you, bud. Unfortunately,
are you throwing a honorary flyer on him on Western Carolina to win this?
I am not, because when you look at them versus the top teams in the conference, Stanford, Greensboro, Chattanooga, they went 1-5 straight up. You also mentioned they draw Furman. They struggled with them in their meeting this year. So I think there's a 50-50 shot that they don't even get out of that first game, in a coin flip. And then beyond that, I don't believe in them to beat two of the top teams in the semis and title game to cash a ticket. Who I do like, give me Greensboro, 9-2, because you touched on some of the elements that they bring to the table. They're seventh nationally in three-point shooting accuracy, almost 40% as a team. And we talk about it a lot throughout the season because it's important to play the ebbs and flows and, positive and negative shooting regressions. There's enough of a sample size. They're just a nails three-point shooting team, and they're going to continue to do it. They also hold opponents near the basket to a very low shooting percentage.
Nothing.
Overall, the opponent field goal percentage is 56 in the country. And another element that I love in tournament play is they have a very low turnover rate. So you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot against any of these teams along the way by having a game where you turn it over 15, 20 times. They just don't do that. And then you bring that backcourt together, Browns, Jones, Keyshawn Langley. They're absolute flamethrowers. As a tandem, they shoot 44% from deep. They average over 35 points per game out of that backcourt. So maybe they get lucky and Western or Furman knocks off Samford because they couldn't really crack Samford this year. And shout out to Samford as well, winning, the regular season, getting the number 1 seed for the first time in their school history. But I don't view them as an absolute juggernaut that can't be toppled. So I'll go ahead and take the plus 450 with Greensboro and the best backcourt in this tournament.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I think the way to attack this is to look at someone in the bottom half of the bracket. There are some potential landmines for Samford, and then whoever gets out of that bottom half that gets to Samford, then you're going to have a nice, if you pick the right team, even if Samford doesn't get picked off, you're going to have a team that shoots a ton of threes, gives up a ton of threes. You're going to have a high variance game with a nice ticket. I don't mind UNC Greensboro that. Yeah, from a value perspective, I'm right around there. I have them at 20% to win this. So I don't mind that. I think that'll be, for pool purposes, that'll be my pick as well. Greg, anything you want to add to tie things up, or matchups you're looking for, or anything in the SoCon?
No, I think that's the smart spot to land, and I'm glad we sort of collectively talked through that, because I was never going to feel good if we chose someone in the top half of the bracket. And Samford at that price, that's not a fun bet even. I honestly hope they make the tournament, because I like watching that team, and I do think, we've kind of gone through some of these conference previews and been like, yeah, whoever wins this isn't going to make some noise. I actually think Samford could cause a lot of problems, but yeah, for value here at plus 150, there's nothing. I think Greensboro is a better play.
Yeah, Samford with their style definitely could give certain teams some trouble. And that offense, they just have so many shooters all over. But yeah, I mean, I think probably fair odds, there's even if you're assuming they're fully healthy, probably a little over 2-1. I can't take plus 150 here with Samford. It's finally March, so you know what that means. It's time to say top of the morning to the most famous St. Patrick's Day Shamrock Shavers, our new sponsor, Manscaped. Don't just chase rainbows this March. Make your own pot of gold and groom your little leprechaun with the leaders in below-the-kilt care. Clear your clover forest with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Head over to manscaped.com and use code BBOC for 20% off plus free shipping. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is your new lucky charm, and it's fully waterproof. So go ahead, shave by the misty moors, shave under a waterfall, shave while betting a second half total. The world is yours. Get 20% off and free shipping with code BBOC at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code BBOC at manscaped.com. This St. Patrick's Day, make sure your hairy little leprechaun is luckier than ever with Manscaped.